Good morning, everybody. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to come up here and share our experiences. Could I just say that the last two speakers is the reason, people like that, that's the reason that I do what I do. Like Anne, my first introduction to terrorism started in 1984, on the 3rd of June 1984. Our youngest brother Hugh had been a member of the security forces, and he was assassinated on that date. It was very, very traumatic. Hugh was a wonderful human being, a lot more fun to be with than I am. He wasn't a serious person. He was 26 years old when he died. He had two children, Paul and Heather. One was 5 and one was 3. I don't need to tell you the devastation that we had to deal with going into that family home on a Sunday morning when two children were asking why their daddy is not there. That was the Provisional IRA. There were 3 shooters involved. I remember that the early hours of Sunday morning when my brother came to tell me that Hugh had been shot dead. I just wanted to know, did he die instantly? Did he suffer? And James said to me, I'll put it this way to you, they were going to make sure that there was going to be no miraculous surgery done. The next time that terrorism touched my life was when our only son, Aidan, went into town to buy a pair of jeans on the 15th of August. This was in peacetime, after the Good Friday Agreement had been signed. We as parents were very confident that things were looking brighter. I think every normal person was happy that there had been an end to this madness that lasted 30 years. I was just outside the town when the explosion happened. I heard it, I knew immediately that it was an explosion. I never dreamed for 1 minute that explosion was in the centre of Omagh on a very bright and sunny Saturday afternoon in the middle of August, where families were outside SD Kells buying children's uniforms. So it was children, young people, that was basically there. The warnings had been given to the police. There was 3 in all. The warnings were very deceptive. They didn't indicate where the bomb was. They didn't indicate the type of car the bomb was in. There was a lot of confusion, and as a result, all of the people in the town centre ended up virtually in top of the car. In fact, one man was leaning on the car. And not to be too graphic about it, I'll always remember at the inquest in 2000 when a young policeman described how he walked up the main street in Omagh with a woman's head in his hands. And what made it particularly difficult for me was that mother, that woman, her daughter was just sitting 3 rows in front of me. And that was a truly horrendous experience. It was a vicious and evil attack. We thought that the perpetrators, the people responsible for this crime, would be quickly rounded up. I never thought I'd be talking about it here almost 15 years after the event. But sadly, despite the efforts of the Garda Síochána in the Republic and the RUC at that time, and later the PSNI, we have not seen one single person convicted for what happened at Omagh. And that for me is and always will remain a bitter moment. I feel that Aidan was 21 when he died. He was a bright, energetic, friendly young man who had everything to live for, everything to give to his community. And by his community, I mean not part of his community, but the entire community, because we were always a family who didn't have friends and family from one side. Our friends were our friends. So it was that was very, very difficult, and the families came together, and the majority of the families affected came together at that time. We formed the Omagh Support and Self-Help Group. Initially we thought this group will only be for supporting each other, because we had suffered a common suffering, if you like, and that was the feeling at the time. But there were many, many issues that started to flag up, including how the charity that was sent to Omagh was distributed by the Omagh Fund, how the police investigation, it was obvious, was running into trouble. Then we had the New Loan revelations, the police ombudsman's revelations, and the family was between the Chief Constable and the police ombudsman. We had many, many difficulties. We had a Garda detective sergeant come to us and tell us how intelligence was mishandled in the Republic. And then we had a commission set up there called the Nally Commission, which really wasn't very effective. So we've went down this path over a long number of years. Then we decided to take a civil action. Victor Barker, whose son James died in the bomb, is a solicitor in Surrey, and it was his idea. And initially myself and Victor pioneered the civil action. Later other families came on, and that process hopefully ends today in the Royal Courts of Justice in Belfast after 11 years. I think this just serves to illustrate the hill that victims have to climb in order to get any kind of justice, either in the civil courts or in the criminal courts. Of course, we had the Sean Hoey trial, which ended up in a complete mess, and again the families had to pick up the pieces. I have travelled all over the world. What I should say, the travel opportunities have been good over the last number of years. I've been to Africa, South America, and in Europe, and I feel that the victims that I meet are, regardless of their language or their colour, they have the same thing, they have the same wish that the person responsible for the murder of their loved one is brought before the courts in proper evidence and convicted. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen in Omagh. The British and Irish governments have taken a decision that that's not going to happen. We have called for a number of years for a cross-border public inquiry. The government is resisting this. They're quite right to resist it, because there are going to be some very difficult and embarrassing issues to deal with. But we continue to press that home, and I feel more confident now than I've ever felt, and we will be meeting the Secretary of State next Monday, and that will be the beginning of the end of the process of meeting politicians. I just feel that I feel great energy from the victims here. I feel that what we need to do is we need to reach out to others who are maybe not as capable or as interested in articulating their particular issue. I think that we need to assist those people, and JIVT, as I understand, is doing that. I've been involved in JIVT, I think, since the first meeting. I think it's a very worthwhile project. I'm very happy to be here. In closing, what I would say is that we will not forget what happened, and we will certainly not allow those responsible to forget. Thank you.